Hi, it's Kate, and this is Thursday, July 9th, 2020. And what you see behind me is the Aurora Borealis, probably something that none of us have seen that often, at least from where we live here in Rochester. Um, Basically, these lights are seen in the northern and southern latitudes, um, and they are caused by solar wind and the effect on the magnetic particles that are in our atmosphere. And they're absolutely, some people call them fairy lights, some people call them the northern lights, but they're magical. And if we see them, they're going to be yellow and green. Up closer to the North Pole or closer to the South Pole, they actually come in rainbow colors and are very active. But because there's so much ambient light around us here in Rochester or any other city area, it's very difficult to see them. Also the same with meteors. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to show the Aurora Borealis, is that that's not the only light show that could be going on in our skies. Starting in the first part of August, we have the Perseids meteor showers, which you can see if you're lucky enough to be up in the North Country by the Thousand Islands. It's dark enough up there to see. And we might be able to see a little bit here in Rochester if we can get someplace away from the city lights, but they're pretty fabulous because you should be able to see a meteor at least every minute. And that's a lot of shooting stars to wish on. Now I am going to be recording the session, but you'll notice that I will be stopping and starting because not all of it needs to be public record if we're having a private discussion about something. So I will be bouncing back and forth between being recording and not. Now, last week, we rolled out the revised schedule for our classes going forward. We had hoped that maybe the classes would be a temporary situation, but it looks like they're going to be continuing online for at least the next few months. So I am going to be giving you a calendar of not only what days we're going to be discussing what topics, but also what topics we'll be discussing. So hopefully you received in your email a copy of the July calendar from me already. If not, please email me and let me know. And that shows quite clearly that our Tuesday classes are going to be English and social studies. Our Thursday classes are going to be math and science. Now, in between times, we have hopefully freed up enough time for more individual sessions to be reserved by the students. And those are arranged by me as you need them. I'm available between 8 and 4 Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30, somewhere in that area. For individual sessions, that can be 15 minutes, half an hour, or an hour, depending on how long you have and what you want to focus on. So I'm trying to achieve a balance based on the survey results of being a class situation and allowing time for individual tutoring as well. So hopefully this new plan will fit everybody's needs a little better. And please feel free to request time for me. Just email me and we can set something up. So this is how it's going to look going forward. The 24th, the Friday, I have vacation time, so there will be no tutoring that day. But otherwise, tutoring is always available 9 to 11 on Fridays. Just let me know what time you'll be joining me. And the other sessions are offered Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 10, and 10 to 11, and 1 to 2 p.m. We also have the general topics that we're going to be discussing on those days. So let me pull those up. I will try to stick with these. And again, this is a compromise between teaching one class to everybody and then allowing the individual sessions to fill in the gaps which people personally want to take a look at. So this is where we are going. As you can see today, we will be talking about radius, diameter, and circumference, and pi. These are very basic circle formulas. They will definitely be tested on the TASC, and you will not be given these formulas. We'll have to know these. Some formulas are provided on the math reference sheet that you can take with you to the exam, but the basic formulas like circle, area, circle, circumference, perimeter of shapes, area of shapes, those they expect that we will memorize and we will know. We also will be looking at the solar system, which is Earth Science lesson number 4, and also a quick video of meteor showers, just to get you interested in our annual phenomenon. So this is how we want to divide up the time today. Okay, let me come back to you. Okay. Also, you should have received questions of the day, which I sent out yesterday for you to have to look at this class session, and also the questions on the reading passage. The reading passage that I picked for today was on the 1918 flu pandemic, which was up until now the most deadly that we had experienced as a planet, much less as a country. And also there were the 4 questions, reading comprehension questions that went with it. I try to pick questions that are similar to the types that they ask on the TASC, just to get you used to the format. And I have put it on a digital form. I'm pretty proud of myself for learning how to do that, so that you can answer the questions of the day and the answers for the reading passages digitally, and they are registered online, and I can see who did them, and we can go over them. You can also, when you submit your answers, pick that you want a copy of your responses. That way you can see what you answered, and when we go over it, you can tell whether they're right or whether they're wrong. So let's look at the questions of the day first and see how we did with those. These are important to me because I ask you one question in each of the areas that the TASC tests. So it tells me how much review we might need to do, whether we're forgetting some of the material that we've learned already, or new areas we might want to look at. Let me see, okay, where did they go? This is where I get to mutter to myself. Let me stop recording for a second. All right, here are the TASC questions of the day on the new and improved digital form. I ask for your email so that I make sure I have it, and also that way I know who's answered the questions and who hasn't. I'm trying to give credit for things that are done outside of class. So who was the commander of the Confederate Army during the Civil War? Been a hot topic lately because of all the statues they want to take down. And Ulysses S. Grant was a general, but that was for the Union forces. Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederate States of America. Stonewall Jackson was one of the leading generals in the Confederate forces. William Sherman was Grant's right-hand man, and it was him who marched through Georgia like a wind of fire, destroying pretty much all he came in contact with. And he, again, was a Union general. So the answer by default is Robert E. Lee, and he was the commander of the Confederate Army. He also had been asked to be the commander of the Northern forces, and he did not have at that point any slaves of his own. He had freed them already. The issue was that he was loyal to the state of Virginia, and that he would go with whichever army Virginia went with. So he joined the Confederacy because that was a decision that Virginia made. But he had been asked to actually lead both armies. He was that good, and he had gone to West Point. Everybody went to the same school, so every general who fought in the Civil War, North or South, knew each other from school. Studied together, had drinks together, probably went out and partied together. Okay, now here's one of our standard questions. In math, we are looking this week at circles and the area of a circle that has a radius of 25. There are 2 basic formulas for circles. One is for the area, one is for the circumference. The difference is the circumference is the area around the outside of the circle. Area is how much space there is within the circle itself. The formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. Pi meaning this little symbol, which has a value of 3.14 if you have to use numbers, and the radius of 25. So if the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared, let me write that down. Come on up here. It's supposed to give me my little tools. Okay, let's go back to that. And we want to annotate. Okay, it is pi, whoops, r for radius squared. Now you remember that squared means a number times itself. So the answer to this question is, what is the radius squared? If the radius is 25, what is 25 times 25? The answer is going to be 25 squared times pi. 25 times 25 equals 625. That's equal, not a minus. Okay. So the answer to this is 625 pi. I've got to stop sharing and mark that. Okay. So it's 625 pi. Now, which of the following biomes is characterized by low temperature and low precipitation? Now, a biome is it, you want to say, an ecological area? It's kind of like, I think that's probably the easiest way to explain it. And a biome that has low temperature and low precipitation, that is the clue. Now, a rainforest definitely is not an ecological area that would fall into that. The rainforests are tropical. You see them in Brazil. They're around the equator. So a rainforest would have high precipitation, high temperature, hot and humid. A savanna is low precipitation, but it's a grassland. So it has moderate temperatures. You would think of a savanna in the African prairies, our American prairies. Then you have a desert, very low precipitation, but very hot temperatures during the day. Think the Sahara, think the Gobi, think the Great Salt Lake, think of Death Valley. So what we're left with is a tundra. That would be like in Mongolia. It's great flat steppes, but they have very low temperatures. So it would be like a desert, but instead of sand, it has permafrost or snow. So tundra is what we're looking for. You also would find those in the Arctic and Antarctic. You might also find them in Alaska, anywhere it is cold and dry. All right, now here is one of our reading questions. Now these are numbered because usually a reading question will be followed by several questions. Sometimes they will ask you to refer to a sentence in the answer, and that's why the easiest way to do it is to number them. But this is the first question that goes with it, so the numbers are actually they're just extraneous. They just happen to be there. So after you read this, the question is, which of the following is not a supporting detail for the thesis of this section? Now that requires you to know what a thesis is and the importance of a supporting detail. A thesis, as you remember, is your statement. It's your claim. It is the direction in which you are going to go. And in this case, they say that hobbies and activities can be our life's blood, whether it's enjoying a live sporting event, frolicking on vacation, or rendezvousing with friends. But health is important, and there is no quality of life to any of your experiences if you can't see clearly. So the thesis is actually the importance of vision to our health and our quality of life. So what we're actually doing is finding supporting details that back that up, that vision is essential to the quality of our life. And the only one of these that doesn't support the fact of how important vision is the first one. Hobbies and activities can be our life's blood. That's an important part to the overall statement, but it does not support the importance of vision to our overall health. So that is why it is the answer that we're looking for. It doesn't contribute anything to the understanding of the main idea or the main claim. All right. I'm going to pause recording again for a minute. All right, we're back on recording. This was what I sent out for you to take a look at. I always will try to provide you with a reading passage for the class on Thursday. It may not always be science oriented. In this case, it was, and I would like you to keep this copy because I may ask you to use it in a writing assignment that may be coming along in the next week or two. So don't ditch this copy. Hold on to it. Now, the 1918 flu pandemic was the most devastating that we had experienced as humans on this planet until this new bug came along. Now, what I wanted you to take away from this is that there are certain similarities and there are a number of differences. So it's not an exact match. But what is interesting is that some of the elderly people in Europe who survived the COVID-19, even though it was supposed to be devastating to people over 60, had also survived as babies the 1918 flu that swept around the world. It was right after and during the last parts of World War I. So we had lots of people moving around to spread this disease. And I also sent questions with this that you could answer in digital format just with a click. And I tried to find questions that do the same kind of thing that the TASC will ask you to do with what you read. For example, one of the questions was, why do you think this flu facts portion was written into this article? What does it contribute to the overall purpose of the writing? Just so you get a chance to evaluate how pieces are put together and how they fit up with the author's intent. So let me go back now and find the questions, because hopefully you've all done the writing or reading, and I will pull those up and we'll go over those. All right, we've resumed recording, and I want to make sure we are. And here are the questions from the for the reading. According to the article, which of the following most influenced the closing of schools and other public places? The fear of sick people dying in front of children, lack of healthy employees to maintain security in public places, decision to convert schools into makeshift hospitals, or a desire to stop the spread of the flu virus. Now, just as with the TASC, there will often be options that are correct, but they are not the best answer. They're not the most general. Sometimes you'll find that they all fit under one umbrella. And in this case, it is D, the desire to stop the spread of the flu virus. How did the virus affect the US military? Very good question. Because we had been fighting a war in Europe, which is where supposedly the flu started. They think that it started in Spain, but that may not be true. It may just be that Spain did not have censorship of their news, so they were the first country in Europe to report it. After this flu, it was decided by the United Nations that we would not be calling any flu by the name of a particular country, because it was very difficult to prove where the flu actually started. So what we have now, the COVID-19, people were referring to as the Chinese flu since it started there. But according to what we agreed after World War I and the 1918 flu, is we would never blame a country because it becomes very hard to tell whether it could have started here and got taken over there. So how did the flu virus affect the US military? Back in 1918, it actually killed more soldiers than died in the World War I battles. And that's often true of disease, folks. More people died of cholera and typhoid going west to settle the United States than were ever killed by Indian attack. Now, what was the main reason that the author includes that first paragraph in the section called flu facts? Well, let's go back and take a look at that, see how it fits into the big scheme of things. And here we go. Flu facts. The flu is a virus that attacks the respiratory system. The primary organs of the respiratory system are the lungs, and the virus is highly contagious. When an affected person coughs, sneezes, or talks, respiratory droplets are generated and transmitted into the air. Someone nearby who inhales these droplets can become infected, and even a person who touches something with the virus on it and then touches his or her mouth, eyes, or nose can become infected. All right, so we've refreshed on what that first paragraph is. So let's go back and see now why they may have included it. Here are our options. Was it included to explain why the virus attacks the lungs? Was it to compare different ways a person can catch the virus? Is it to explain why the virus is highly contagious? Or to compare different parts of the body that the virus can infect? Now again, all of those could potentially be true, but what is the main reason? And you can see the emphasis. The main reason would be to explain why the virus is highly contagious. And all these other facts are just part of that explanation. So pay attention to keywords like main, right? And finally, how does the section flu takes a heavy toll on society help develop the central idea of the article? This is just like the one that we had in the questions of the day. It asks you to know two things. What is the main or the central idea, and how does this section support that? So let's go. Oh, and here's what I was suggesting. Always check this when you submit your response so that you get a copy of what your answers were, and you can check them. So let's go back and see what this portion has to say. Flu takes a heavy toll on society. The flu pandemic wiped out entire families. It harmed every aspect of society, including the economy. That sounds familiar for us right now too, doesn't it? In the US, businesses had to shut down because so many employees were sick. Basic services like mail delivery and garbage collection were affected. In some places, there weren't enough farm workers to harvest crops. Yeah, there's some similarities. We have the farm workers, but we had to close the meat packing plants, if you remember. So there was some shortage on pork, I think, and hamburger for a while. We still have mail delivery, but people weren't touching their packages right away. We still have garbage collection, but some other important things did close down. All right, so to go back to our question. Which is the correct answer? What is the central idea of the article? Is really how devastating this flu was. And the section flu takes a heavy toll really helps explain the extreme effects of the flu on families and business. So you look for the one that is main or central, the best. All right, what you see are the basic formulas that you need to know to determine either the circumference or the area of a circle. These are some of the information that you need to commit to memory. There's not a lot of stuff you got to memorize for the task, but these formulas are part of that little small task you've got ahead of you. So they're going to assume you know this information going into the test. They'll provide you with, other formulas you might not use as often, but these you'll have to memorize. So for the circumference or the area around the outside of a circle, the formula is pi d or 2 pi r. They give you the value of pi, which can be expressed as a symbol, or it can be turned into a number. We've agreed that we're going to use 3.14. But pay attention to the question, because some questions will allow you to leave your answer in terms of pi. Others will ask you to convert pi to a number and give a number answer. And then finally, we've got area. The area, which is whatever is contained inside the circle, is pi r squared. Now, going into anything with circles, it's important to remember the relationship between the diameter and the radius. And I want to pull up an example for you. All right, we're back with recording. Now, you should have received from me in your email a link to this class assignment. This is on the Khan Academy. And what I was hoping is that the exercises on the Khan Academy site would reinforce the general introduction that I'm giving you today. So even if you are not familiar with circles, circumference, area, follow the link, take a look at the work that I've assigned, because we do have to have a balance between new material and individual review. So during class, I will always do something with the group, and then outside of class, hopefully you have the tools and can arrange time with me that you can work independently, or you and I can work together. And we can, touch base in individual sessions. So right now, the idea of a radius, diameter are important and how they relate to each other. So if you can follow me through, what Khan Academy does really well is they will provide you with video instructions, not as good as me, of course, but they're there, they're short, they're focused, easy to follow and understand. Then they will give you a chance to practice. Please take a look at why your answers are right or wrong. They will also give you a running tally of your performance, and they will continue to challenge you with questions based on your areas of strength and areas they think you need more work on. It's pretty cool. So please play around with it. But I'd like to use it today to help introduce our topic. What is a circle? We've all seen circles before. But we're adults, we're going into geometry. Let's talk about circles like there's something special, and they are. A circle is actually a closed set of points that are all equidistant from a center. And every circle then has a center, points on a line, they have a radius, they have a diameter. The radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the edge. And it is exactly half of the diameter. The diameter goes all the way through the center of the circle. The radius only goes from the edge to the center, half the distance. So which of the segments below is the radius? They give us A, B, or C. And in this case, A is a radius and B is a radius. C is not, because it does not go through the center. It does not reach to the center. And here's the cool thing about the Khan. As soon as I get rid of this in the corner of my screen, is you can check your answer. And we are correct. And that's nice. It gives you immediate feedback. All right, going on to the next. Here's our diameter. The diameter is the length of a line that goes through the center and touches 2 points on each edge. So which of the segments below is a diameter? Well, A doesn't go all the way through the center. C touches both 2 points on the edge, but it doesn't go through the center. The only answer that is correct is B, because B goes from edge to edge and through the center. That is the diameter. And we are correct. So the diameter is really 2 radii. That's the plural of radius. One that comes to the center and the other that goes from the center to the other edge. So again, the diameter, D, is worth 2 of the radius, or 2r. Diameter equals 2r. So now they're going to ask us to find the diameter of a circle shown below. Okay, this is a radius, and it has 6 units. So if a diameter is twice the length of the radius, then this should be 12, in my understanding of our universe. And let's check. Yes. Now, it also gives you a chance for explanation. Let's say you've gotten the answer wrong. If you went on here, it would show you the worked solution, so you can correct your thinking. Now they'll ask us the other way around. Here they give us a diameter of 10. The radius is worth half that. So in my understanding of the universe, it should be 5 units. And let's check and see. Yepper. So the diameter is twice the length of the radius, or the radius is half the length of the diameter. Now the circumference is the area around, like a hula hoop, and the area is everything inside. So here is a circle 1 that has a diameter of 1, and here is circle 2 that has a diameter of 2. So let's look at the ratio. The ratio is the relationship of the circumference to the diameter. And this is where pi comes in. Because if you divide the circumference of the circle by its diameter, it will be pi. The ratio of the circumference of any circle to its diameter is 3.14. So there you go. And this will make more sense as we work these. So just remember that pi represents the ratio of any circle's circumference to its diameter. It's one of those constants in this universe, and geometry is built on several of those. So this is a principle because it is true for all circles. When you see that little pi symbol, remember that means the same as 3.14 in number, and it is the relationship of the circumference of any circle to the diameter. So it can be useful because in geometry and algebra, they'll always usually give you 2 things and ask you to find out the third. So this can be very handy. I also want to tell you, and it's free of charge today, that pi is an irrational number. You see these little dots? That means you can carry this out to the end of time. It will never repeat, and it will never end. So pi belongs to a very special group of numbers called irrational. Just file that away for later. Right, so here is our formula for the circumference of a circle. That is circumference equals pi times d. So if the diameter of this circle is 10, we can work out the circumference by multiplying pi times the diameter, or pi times 10. Now here, they're allowing us to leave the answer in terms of pi 10. But they could also ask that you do it in a numerical answer So you would multiply 10 times what pi is worth in numbers, 3.14. Right, so here we've got a radius of 6. That means that the diameter is 12. So the answer in terms of pi would be 12 pi. And that's correct. Now, if they told us to do it in terms of numerical pi, we would multiply 12 times 3.14. Here's the challenge problem. All right. This is an arc. It's not a complete circle. We know it's a half circle because this is the diameter, and we know the diameter runs from edge to edge through the center. So this is half the circle. Now, let's see. The circle circumference all the way around is pi times d. This is half. So the radius is 5. That makes the diameter 10. So that would mean that the full circle would be 10 pi. But we've only got half a circle. So it is 5 pi. Half the diameter. Okay. So there we go. So there's half the circle. Okay. So our answer is 5 pi. They just did it a little bit more dragged out than ours, dragging it, like they say. All right, my friends, that is the end of our power hour. And you do have your assignment to continue on in the circles, radius, diameter, and pi on the con site. I've set it up so you can work on your own rate of speed, but I can track what you've accomplished, how you've done, and what time you spent. So it would be worth your while to do the assignments because it counts for time spent outside of class. Also, I want to remind you about the writing assignment that you should have also received after class on Tuesday in your email. And it's on the removal of Confederate monuments. It's due on Tuesday. So please remember that if you get it done on time and to me on time, you'll get credit for attending another full class session, and that goes towards your stipend hours. So if you have a laptop, please send me your essay as an attachment to an email or as an email message, whatever's easier. If you don't, handwrite it, screenshot it so I can see you did it, and then you and I will reserve a time together. You can read me your essay and I will type it up so we have a hard copy that we can keep and a hard copy we can revise. All right, so I hopefully will see you next Tuesday in class. Be looking for my emails on Monday with the assignments and class information. If you did not receive any of the information that we went over today, please let me know ASAP and I will send it to you. Also, if you have questions during the week, and just email me, I will get back to you. And please don't forget to reserve time with me because we've opened up a lot of time for individual sessions, and I really hope that you guys will use it. So until then, oh darn, I wanted to show you the meteor shower video. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send you the link and follow it so you can see what we might see in our summer skies. Okay, talk to you soon. Keep in touch. Stay well.